Icons. Icons 8 Music.
History will make you think differently than you do now. I'm an African. It doesn't matter where I'm born in the world. Malcolm said, a cat had kittens. This is Mr. Malcolm X, Hajj Malik al-Shabazz. He said, if a cat had kittens in an oven, they don't become biscuits. I'm not a biscuit. I'm an African. My mother wasn't a biscuit. My grandmother, who was a traditional priestess, was not a biscuit. They were born in North America, but they were Africans. My great-grandfather was born in Africa. My great-grandmother was born in Sierra Leone. My other great-grandmother was born in Nigeria. My other great-grandfather was born in what is now Rwanda and the Uganda area. There was no Rwanda or Uganda then. I know exactly where I come from. I know exactly who I am. I know my names. I got a bunch of them. But I only need to have one name. I'm an African. That's the only name I need. And if we're going to ever be free, yes, we got some mix-up minds. I woke some of them up about 10 years ago with a speech on 125th Street, and people are still spinning. And we get some wicked African minds over here, who we call African Americans, because our brains are so messed up. Do you know last year we killed 8,600 of our own people? That's how broken we are. That's how ignorant we are. 8,000 African Americans was killed last year, 8,600, by the hands of other African Americans. Because our minds are broken, our souls are broken, our culture is broken, our spirit is broken, our brain is ignorant on what the human being African is supposed to be. I want to be like them. I want to be like those ancestors I pour libation to. So I need to find out, who were they? What kind of human being were they? What kind of father were they? What kind of mother were they? What kind of son or daughter were my ancestors? That's who I want to be. And I got enough knowledge now through history to know who killed them, who robbed them, who abused them, who was their enemy, because those are the people who are now my enemies. And they can't come and play with me with words like democracy and parliamentary and government. Your crime-ridden societies is not something we should desire. We have to drop this diasporan, continental African foolishness, because I can find as many hardcore Africans in Brazil as I can find on the continent. Mm-hmm. And I can find weak people in Brazil like I can find weak people on the continent that have been injured by our oppression over the years. Africans are Africans. Yes, we need to discuss what happened. How did our system break down? How did the enemy take so much advantage of us? And that's why I keep telling you, study history. It gets rid of the white man's mystery. Set up new curriculums in the schools of Africa. Teach the truth about what happened. I never go around and say my people throw me into slavery, because I know history. I know who ran the slave trade. I know who had the guns and who didn't have guns. I knew who were the farmers and who was the military arm coming from Europe and the Turkish Ottoman Empire Arab world, who ran the slave trade until the Western Europeans came in the 1400s. So my people have suffered more on the continent than those of us who were sold into slavery have suffered off of the continent, at the hands of the same people. The American English speak with one accent, and the British Englishmen speak with another accent, but they're the same people. They got the same banking system. the same insurance company, the same investment house. They run the same airlines. They run the same shipping lines. They run the same telecommunication systems. Those are the people who we're up against. Because our leaders won't say all treaties will be abrogated until just treaties are put together for the sake of the future of African people. You don't have to respect any treaty that was signed under duress. You don't have to respect any treaty that is unjust. How can you accept a treaty in Congo with the millions of Congolese people murdered after Leopold? Forget about Leopold. He only killed 25 million of us, and we act like Belgium is our friend. 25 million. The Jews had 6 million killed, and they're still tracking down Nazis today to slit their throats. In one country, we had 25 million, and we scampering to speak French, English, and Belgian as though they have some authority over our minds, speaking the language of our enemies. I'm stuck in their country, born into their language, and just learning to speak little bits of African languages and my Creole, my pidgin, that we speak here, of our old language. But we've got to be clear. If we really want an African that we want to see, then you've got to look back to go forward. And you got to mean it. Studying history is not an exercise to go around and show people how much you know. Studying history is to give you the ability to come up with a plan for the future, so your children and grandchildren don't have to go through this. So you don't have to leave your beautiful land and come in the snow and the ice of America to practice medicine and make some money. When we have some of the best medical schools in the world, we have some of the best herbalists in the world. We have some of the best herbs in the world for healing the world, right in our beloved Africa. But our politicians don't even know how to take care of our physicians. They don't know how to take care of our school teachers. They don't know how to take care of our policemen. So they don't have to stop me and you on the road and take our little penny just to eat chop for themselves. That we're going to act like Africans. We are the human beings. We are humanity. We're not devils. We have not invaded other people's countries and enslaved them. We have not committed genocide against nobody in Europe or nobody in Asia. We're the human beings. We are true humanity. What is the African system? What is the African way of seeing the world? We got to go back, study our history. Cameroon should not be a fight over the English interest and the French interest, or the Islamic interest and the Christian interest. None of those are ours. There's a Cameroon before Christianity comes. There's a Cameroon before the Fulani jihads that led to the Muslim coming. There's a Cameroon before the English speakers or the French speakers. Where is that Cameroon? How did they behave? You know, the Ghana, before the British, before the Danes, before the Brandenburg Germans, before the Portuguese, before any of them came, raping our people along the coast and murdering as they go. Putting a gun to one brother's head to make him help you fight the other brother, and call him your ally when you write your false history book. What was the Akan people before they came? You know? Who were the Fulanis before the whites came, before the Arabs came? If we don't go back there, don't tell me anything about democracy. I live in what is supposed to be the bastion of democracy, and I've never been able to enjoy it, or be protected by it, or watch it at work. What I've seen in America is tyranny against African people for hundreds of years. Tyranny against the so-called native Asiatics who came before they came, because they weren't here first either. We were. And they practiced tyranny against us. I do sympathize with what the whites have done to them, but they still would rather ally with the white genociders than with us.